Okay, so our next presentation is another virtual presentation by Katharina Schäfer, and she's talking about social surrogacy, how music provides a sense of belonging.
Hello everybody. Welcome to this session entitled Social Surrogacy, How Music Provides a Sense of Belonging. My name is Katharina and I'm doing my PhD at the University of Jyväskylä in Finland. After a short introduction, I will present you today a questionnaire study that I've done with my supervisor Tuomas Eerola about the social motives for engaging with media. Let's start from the hierarchy of needs that Maslow has established in the last century. Our need to belong, to feel accepted by and connected to others has a privileged position, because only survival needs like food, shelter and safety exceeds the importance of belonging. The most obvious satisfaction comes from direct social interaction, of course, but it is not the only way in which our social needs can be fulfilled. There are indirect methods which provide temporary substitutes for direct interaction. They are called social surrogates. To illustrate that concept, I want to give you an analogy to food or hunger. If we are hungry, but we can't have a proper meal right away, we go for a snack that temporarily satisfies us. So, social surrogacy could also be called social snacking. What do we know about social surrogates so far? From research in the domain of TV, we know that viewers get attached to their favorite TV personae, and that those relationships are experienced as meaningful and sometimes even friendships. Transferred to the domain of music, it is conceivable that music provides also a sort of virtual company, maybe via connections to celebrities. From the domain of literary fiction, we learned that by identifying themselves with the character of a narrative, readers connect to the group that this character belongs to. The example here is that little guy who becomes a bit himself a magician by reading Harry Potter books. One could imagine that lyrics of songs could act as a kind of narrative through which listeners identify themselves with the artist or performer. Last but not least, there are social surrogates that surround us in our everyday life and remind us of real social bonds that we have with real persons in our life. The most common reminder are photos of friends, family, partners, pets, whoever is dear to us. And I could imagine that music can do a similar job by reminding us of people in our lives. To test if any of those forms of social surrogacy play a role in music listening, we designed a questionnaire study. We is Tuomas Eerola and me, my supervisor. First, we compiled statements about social reasons for the engagement with media, including those forms of social surrogacy I just presented to you. Then, those statements were adapted to the different domains in order to compare music listening with the domains where the mechanisms were investigated originally. Finally, participants rated their agreement with the statements. To give you an example of what they did, the statements started all with I listen to music or I watch TV/movies or I read fiction. And then the reason was mentioned. And here you can see 5 of the examples with the presumed surrogacy mechanisms. Who was rating their agreement? Well, we had participants mostly from Scandinavia, about 350, with an average age of 28 years. Half of the sample were women, so half of the sample were men too, and also the musicality was distributed half-half. Half were non-musicians, so half were musicians. In order to extract meaning from our data, we were running exploratory factor analysis for every medium separately. I will present you first the results for the music listening. Here you can see an overview of the factors, and all the 7 factors are sorted after the mean rating, which is an indicator of the importance of those aspects. I'm gonna go a bit more into detail of the 3 most important ones now. Seeking company and comfort is the most important motive, and as people indicate that they listen to music for those reasons, it might well be that music actually provides company and comfort. How could it be? Well, the second factor gives an idea at least. It proposes that music provides company by reminding us of previous life periods or people that we know. Another possible way is proposed by factor number 3, that we call shared experiences. It seems that when lyrics resonate with listeners' emotions or experiences, that makes people feel understood by the music. Further, this factor is associated with immersion into lyrics and identification. So it reminds us a bit of the identification with characters from the literature research. To summarize, the first question was, can music provide virtual company? After seeing those data, I would say yes. Music seems to provide a sort of company and comfort. We don't know exactly how, and we don't know if listeners get attached to musicians in a similar way like to TV personae, but people seek music in order to get some company. The second question was if listeners identify with musicians. I also would say yes, people identify with the performers or musicians and immerse themselves more into the music and eventually feel understood when the lyrics resonate with their own experiences or emotions. The identification process might be different from the one described in the literary domain, but it seems to be linked with the lyrics anyway. So also that mechanism, I would say, it can be found while listening to music. Question number 3 was, is music associated with a real relationship? And also this one was answered by our data with a clear yes. So to summarize shortly, we find social motives for listening to music that are, if not identical, at least similar to the ones identified previously in other domains. So let's have a look at the other domains and compare the results of the different domains. On this slide you see a table with the most important factors and the different domains we studied. The asterisks indicate that some factors are merged in some domains. That's why the numbers are also the same, the mean values. Okay, let's go into the content. Seeking company and comfort seems to be not only the most important social motivation for engaging with music, but also with TV and films. In the literary domain, it also plays a role, but understanding others seems to be the most important social motive for reading fiction. This is understandable because it might be that narratives are better able to explain other people's motives, thoughts, and behaviors than films and music. Probably the films and the music can portray it better, or they can show it, but of course, if you read a book, you can understand what drives the behavior and thoughts of the characters a bit better. Another aspect that was rated important in all 3 domains are the shared experiences. So maybe we could generalize from the musical domain that if media signal a similar mood or the content resonates with the consumer's experiences, the people immerse themselves more into the media and identify with the characters. I think that's intuitively quite agreeable. Yeah, and one outstanding thing in that table is the factor reminiscence, because it seems to play only a role in the musical domain. So the ability to evoke personal memories seems to be something that is very prominent when listening to music. So what have we learned from that study? It seems like music is used as a social surrogate, but we don't know enough about the mechanisms yet to say anything definite. We would need a bit further investigation, but this broad investigation here gave us already some ideas about possible mechanisms. Finally, I'd like to thank you for your attention, and I'm curious about your questions and comments.
Okay, so let's welcome Katharina on Skype, and if you have a question for her, then maybe start raising your hand and they'll come round with the microphone.
Get those lined up, thank you. Okay, one call now. We'll try with the video and see. Hello, can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can.
Fantastic.
Hello.
That's great. Okay, we've got some questions getting lined up. Thank you for your talk, it was fantastic. Do we have a question lined up? Oh, okay, hang on, I need to shut off our video. I'm sorry about this. Okay, you're back again. Okay, we're getting some questions lined up now. Is there anyone ready with a question? You got one here? Susie's got a question for you.
Hi, Katharina. So I was wondering what you're going to do next with this this test instrument that you've made. Are you going to develop it further, or how do you plan to investigate this social surrogacy with music in the future?
Well, now it's a bit of an idea what could be a mechanism that plays a role. We would like to go a bit into experiments and see if we can actually find an experimental design with which we can actually show that it eliminates loneliness. So that's the next starting data collection to do.
Thank you very much. Are there any other questions at all? Yes, we've got one coming here from Dawn.
Hello, I'm sorry. Thank you for your lovely presentation. I'm not sure how you investigated what the listening to music actually was, in terms of, was that listening to music on the radio or just on a kind of personal, musical device, or going to concerts? Was there any kind of distinguishment between those factors?
No, it was meant to be very broad in general, so we didn't divide this further. But we did ask in the end how much time people, for example, spend with the different media, to see if the person's involvement in general has an effect.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we've got one more question in the middle here.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, we're just getting someone with the mic. Here we go.
Thank you for the very interesting talk. I was wondering, music seems to be quite different from watching a program or reading a book, just in the sense that the narrative is different, and that the very distinct storylines in TV or in videos or in books, which, unlike music, it's much more open to interpretation. You're not given a storyline that's kind of debatable as to how the ending goes. Do you think this is reflected in your results, or maybe up for another kind of study?
Yes, I think that's one of the reasons that makes it difficult to simply infer, okay, if it's like this in music, in TV or movies, it has to be the same thing in music. But we didn't have any previous work on this effect in music, so that's why we stopped it with to compare it with other media where the social surrogacy was found already. But I'm sure as music is way less determined and everybody can take out what he or she needs, that plays a huge role in the versatility and probably also in the way that it provides for the company. Definitely, yeah, that's the point.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any more questions at all? Okay, is that it then? Yeah, okay, thank you so much. We really enjoyed that, and look forward to speaking to you again sometime. Bye. Bye.